The following show may cause you to think differently. Welcome to Sing Out Loud with Ella Glasgow, the show where we highlight people who are doing just that. From authors to coaches to artists and everyone in between, the guests on this show have found a way to push past their fears and truly live life out loud. And through their stories and service to the world, are encouraging you to do the same. Joining the conversation today as our featured guest is intuitive speaker coach Danielle Louise Ross. And on the artist stage, genre-bending jazz artist Miss Phoenix and the Jaffa Cakes. And I'm your host, Ella Glasgow, and it's time for you to sing out loud.
There's no time left to borrow. I'm not waiting for that someday.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Sing Out Loud. I'm your host, Ella Glasgow, a vocal impact expert and creator of Command Your Stage. I've got a dynamic show for you today that I'm excited to share with you, but first, let me ask you this. How many times have you been told that you have to choose one thing to do in life and stick to it to be successful? I can't count how many times that I've been told that same thing, and I followed that instruction for a very long time until I realized, like my next guest, that rules like those are made to be broken. I know it can feel like many of the passions you have are so different from each other, and focusing on one can often make you feel like you've abandoned the other like an orphan child. How do you combine all the passions of you into one seamless piece? That's what we're discussing today with our featured guest. She's a lifelong musician, singer, and actress turned speaking coach, and the creator of Intuitive Speaking. Her clients deliver standing ovation-worthy keynotes, seminars, and online classes as leaders in a variety of professional fields such as health, business relationships, and more. Please welcome to Sing Out Loud, my friend, Danielle Louise Ross.
Well, I am super excited to have you on the show, and I'm excited for our audience to learn more about what it is that you do and how you got into all this. Of course, I know your story, and I know the journey that we've both taken because we do some similar things. So what is it that you do specifically?
Yeah, so one of the big reasons that people come to me is for public speaking coaching, as you mentioned. What I really do is I help people share their authentic voice in the most impactful way, and that will help them inspire a greater following. But that authenticity piece is really at the core, because I think that when we can find a way to stay in our true voice, it's actually really magnetic for other people.
Right. You're right about that. That is, if people could just get that and understand that your voice honestly is your calling card.
Yeah.
And if your voice is not conveying the fullness of you, it may actually be betraying you at the end of
for sure.
Yeah.
In all kinds of ways, because it's not sustainable, but also it's not the most high impact way you could be communicating. And you know, we met in a conference realm, so we know, for those of you watching that have been to marketing conferences and business conferences and sales conferences, it can be very alluring to feel like, just tell me what to say, just tell me what to do in the most micro way. Tell me how to speak, tell me how to say it. And then we can easily become, this is me doing the robot,
Right.
We can easily become mimics of other people at the true expense of ourselves and our joy and really our full impact, because people can feel that we are, in trying to be a first-rate version of somebody else, we're being a second-rate version of ourselves. And
Yeah. The thing that I like to tell my clients is we already have Oprah. She is holding that space down.
She's holding the Oprah zone down. That's right.
With amazing power and clarity. However, what we don't have is you.
Yeah.
And if we could get you, that would be amazing. And you can hold you down much more easily than trying to be someone else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you and I met, you mentioned this, we met at a music conference, and what was your path there? How did you find yourself in that space and then journey along to what it is that you're doing now?
Yeah, well, I guess I would say that was part of a series of stepping stones toward where I'm at now, that was about answering this lifelong question about how can I integrate these seemingly disparate parts of myself into one thing, maybe, please, could I really, that can really help people. And so I think with the topic of your show, there may be a lot of people watching that can relate to, oh, I'm a singer over here, but then I'm like a business person over there, or I'm working in an office over there, but then I'm also a visual artist, but they're all separated. Right. And feeling like, this multi-passionate, like, is it a blessing or is it a curse? I know I was asking that for a lot of my life. Like, I can't figure out if I love this about myself or if this is a stopping block. I guess it's going to stop me from being either financially successful or creatively satisfied. And do those things have to be at odds with each other? So where we met.
A question that has to be asked of everyone, because I know that for a long time, and I can't remember if you and I had talked about this before, but for a long time, you get coached by people that tell you that you do have to separate all of these things.
Oh yeah, it's true.
This over here, you can't be this over there, because they don't make any sense to marry each other. And when you can find a way to put all of your loves together as you have so beautifully, it creates magic.
It does. And I can't turn that part of my brain off. You might relate to me on this, but I just can't stop seeing when somebody is in that. I've been in that too. And they're seeing all these different places and they want to launch a coaching business or up-level it or a speaking business. I see all these ways we can take this creative platform and pull those things in as a way to actually stand out and be even more unique and be even more real. It's like you don't have to cut off that whole part of your life.
Right.
You can integrate it. And not everybody says that. I had someone come to me once and she said that she was recovering from being in a marketing agency in which they weren't as supportive, and said, no one cares about your story. I know.
Can I just tell you that just last week I was working with one of my clients, and she has other coaches, as we all have multiple coaches.
That's right. This is true.
We all
getting the right aligned mentorship and coaching is invaluable.
Right. So she had another coach who told her that when she gave the talk that we were working on, that the coach told her, I don't want to hear your story. And I said, well, we all have different ways of teaching, and many people use stories to teach. And it's the way that you give that story that causes it to be something more than just a rambling.
Right.
There has to be a connection back to what it is that you're trying to teach and what it is you're trying to give value in. When you tell that story, it can't just be just here's a story about life.
Right. And then the pendulum swing on the other side is that exactly what you're saying, that doesn't mean just because you do need some technical pieces to be in place so that story is relevant, doesn't mean that your story doesn't matter. Like that's the complete other end, right? And yet we're getting, I think that especially for creative people trying to find their way in the world and how we can express, and we hear authority say, you can't do this or you can't have this, it can be really easy to believe that, even though that's a lie.
That we have found.
That's a lie.
Full-face lie. So you started saying before, and I think that it's relevant for our audience to know, Danielle, really where you began, because you were a hardcore, out there in the world, CD and everything, because I have it. So how did you begin there? Because you tell that story.
Well, the artist path came really naturally to me. We often will say like that we didn't choose it, it chose us. So I remember when I was 4 and we were walking by a piano store and I went up to the window. I was like, I want one. I have to have one. I don't know why. And so I started playing piano when I was 4. The local teacher wouldn't take me till I was 5 because she thought I'd be a little sniffly brat, but I was actually pretty with it. And I fell in love with, music and artistry of music, and I later took up singing. And then I really found a creative home in an acting class when I was 17. That's when I really started taking acting seriously. That was the closest that I ever found to a sense of creative freedom. Mm-hmm. It hadn't become a full-fledged career yet, but I had that taste of like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So my undergrad ended up being in theater performance. And then I went out into the world to be, in my mind, like famous actress, and also to see, how could I make a living being an artist.
Right.
And I was able to do that at a base level. There are a lot of things that, looking back as somebody that now understands entrepreneurship and branding much more deeply, I look back and go, oh my God, girl, I would give you some tips back when you were 22. But with what I knew at the time, I was able to just about be a full-time artist. But I think one of the things that I didn't have that I have now is I didn't have a strong sense of personal identity. I didn't really even know that it was possible for me to create my world of professional acting around my strengths or even the kind of projects I want. Because I wasn't presented with that idea from the external world. And I have a lot of compassion for people, whether they're actors or musicians or coaches or experts who don't feel like they have a handle on the marketing or branding side. I have tons of compassion because I think that when we're grooming and growing our craft, that piece usually doesn't have a lot of emphasis put on it. And so it makes sense that when we come out into the professional world, we've graduated from acting school or coaching school, or we have our PhD, or we maybe have worked for an employer for a really long time doing that craft, but no one ever taught us how to market ourselves or brand ourselves. We spent, in my undergraduate degree, we spent 1 day on marketing.
Wow.
Because we were studying performance and acting. We spent 1 day. I remember the headshots were laid out on the floor, and that's not a master class in marketing. In fact, you realize like most of what you need to be successful professionally is an awareness of how to connect those dots and how to navigate in the world of creativity and contracts and what you get paid and being an advocate for yourself as an artist.
All of those things, can I tell you, Danielle, that the college that I went to, it was a requirement for us to take music business classes. However,
that's awesome.
It was not stressed how important that was. And to a certain extent, you're an adult by the time you get to college, right? It's not anybody's job to tell you what it is that you have to do, should do, would do. The suggestions are made to you. This is what's offered to you. But I still didn't get it. I didn't get it when I was in college, even though there was a school of music business right there. I didn't understand that those requirements that they had us take, and they were very basic, but there were semesters of it. It wasn't just a day. It was semesters of different music business things. And I still didn't get it, that I needed it, because in my mind, I'm trying to sing songs. I don't need to know about that. And I'm sure that that's how a lot of young people, if any of that is presented to them, that it can feel that way. And as entrepreneurs, sometimes the friend of mine that you just met, Danielle, we were talking about that very thing. When it comes to the business side of things, as an entrepreneur, it can be difficult to switch that piece of us on, because we just want to be creative and we just want to change the world, and we just change the world. It's really all we have in our heart to do, and it has to go beyond that, because in order to change the world, you have to have a business.
Yeah, well, and I know, to speak to the point you were making about not feeling drawn to the education or the classes, even though it was there, even though really you needed it, I think as I became aware, okay, there's this really important thing, it's about marketing myself. One of the reasons that I would avoid it is because when I did dip my toe in it, I found that whoever teachers I saw or watched talk about it made it sound so overwhelming and scary, right? That I actively really wanted to avoid it, because they were not able to find an intersection of where I could come into an understanding of marketing or branding myself that was more accessible and was simple and easy to understand. This was one of my passions. You know, I actually, before I started doing speaking coaching, started doing marketing coaching for this exact reason, because I had to find a way for myself to be able to plug into these ideas that was simple and easy and not completely overwhelming, boring, or scary.
Right.
Or I wouldn't do it.
Same in that that's why we're friends, because we're
Because we got shared values. Yeah. But so, and for so many years I was in avoidance of it, because I thought if marketing means, can I say any kind of language? I had like a phrase come up and I censored myself. Like, is there etiquette on this? Well, I was like, if marketing means like hustling and whoring myself out, and then I'm not gonna have integrity, and I'm just pushing and push, like, then I don't want to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as this, I'm gonna take the high road and I'll just be poor.
Right.
But there's
the high road.
Yeah. But there's another angle entirely, which is, I do believe that whether it's marketing or selling or branding or speaking, that the method in which we plug in does not have to be hard or overwhelming.
Thank you.
It doesn't.
That is the thing that I stress to my clients every single time we are working together, that what I'm presenting to them, my goal is to make it as simple as possible, because I don't like things to be hard.
Exactly.
I like things to be difficult. And if it is, then we're done, because I need it to be as simple as possible, because I want to be able to execute as quickly as possible. And when things become very complicated, not to say that they're not challenging, there are, when it comes to business and being an entrepreneur, there are many challenges that I know, Danielle, that you can attest to getting things off of the ground.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that the steps to it aren't simple.
Mm-hmm.
Or cannot be simplified, so that you can get to market faster and do what it is that you have in your heart to do, to change the world in a much quicker, more clear way. So with that being said,
hallelujah.
that being said, Danielle, when it comes to our audience, because there are a variety of women and people watching, when it comes to the audience, there are going to be those that are watching that have some passion on their heart that they really want to sing out loud. You've made that leap. So what would you encourage them to do to be able to do that?
Yeah, so I would say to hold that vision, to be committed to holding that vision, even when things are uncertain or scary. And one of the ways that you can is you can tell supportive people. Now, you be really careful. Your vision is like it's like a little baby, right? So it's like, it's tender and it's vulnerable and it's super important, and you want to nurture it. And if you can tell people that you know are on your team, they're on your side, they'll rally for you. They're not going to try to like dismantle your vision and make you crazy. They really want you to be successful. Telling those people is a way to hold that vision. And also to get, we talked a little earlier, I think, about getting mentorship or coaching, finding somebody that can be that ally in your corner who also can hold that vision with you and help you translate it from this big thing up here into practical steps. Right. To hold you accountable for it. Then who's gonna, I mean, the difference between the bigger population of people who are gonna be your buddies and your friends who are rooting for you, and that person is gonna be paid to be lovingly honest with you about where you're showing up or where you might not be showing up, or, hey, you're going back on your big vision, like, what's up with that? You know what I mean? So they're going to be there to help you stay the course. Looking back and seeing how now today I feel so grateful and blessed to have a job where it's just as creative as acting ever was. It has the components that I love about acting and all the lifestyle baggage that I didn't like about it, where I get to infuse my creativity into the way I teach and the way I speak. I actually sometimes will include playing a song and singing and playing piano in my speeches.
Right.
That has come as a result of having this vision for over a decade where I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I want to have a job that is totally aligned with me and where all this stuff that I love is somehow pulled together to help people. And I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but I'm just going to keep feeding that. It may sound crazy. I didn't necessarily have the perfect icon of what that would be to look to around me, but that's what I want. And so I'm going to hold on to that big vision, and I'm not going to be caught up on the details or exactly how that works out. Sometimes these things happen in a month and they're boom. And then sometimes it's like, wow, it kind of took like a decade for that to really whoosh, completely turn. Right. But is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. So I think that's the big thing, is just remembering, like, just stay there and stay in curiosity and openness, and you will get there.
Yes, you will. And know that just as Danielle said, some things are going to happen in a flash, and some things are going to require your watering them so that they can grow. Just because it takes longer time to grow that maple tree doesn't mean that that seed is not a maple tree. So continue to water it. Give it the space that it needs. Give it the time that it needs. Grow that dream and do that thing that is you, that you want to do, and step into it. Start acting as if it's already there. I'm so grateful that I had that time to reminisce and visit and learn from my friend Danielle Louise Ross, and she'll be back with us after a bit. But before she comes back, we'll head over to the artist stage, where we are showcasing an Italian band based in Dublin. Using only 2 instruments, piano and drums, band members Paolo Zudas, Dario Radigerio, and Miss Plenty Phoenix on vocals turn world-famous songs into different and unique versions with a flavor all their own that's a mix of swing, jazz, and blues. Please welcome to the stage Miss Phoenix and the Jaffa Cakes.
I don't like walking around these old and empty houses, so hold my hand out, I'll lead you, my dear. Sweet, sweet as a slave is keeping me awake. The house is time to close your eyes. Some days I don't know even trust myself. It's killing me to see this way. I wanna choose me melodies, share the carry on body, save the show. Now you're gone away, I watch you disappear. All I lost because of you. Now we're torn apart, there's nothing we can do. Oh, we meet again soon. Now wait for me. Please hang around. I'll see you when I fall asleep. Hey, don't listen to the word I say. The screams all sound the same. I wanna to make melodies, chase the carry our bodies, take control. I wanna to make melodies, chase the carry our bodies, take control.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And now Danielle has stuck around with us so that we can do our favorite part of the show. Danielle.
So beautiful. I'm just like, I'm glowing from the sounds. You're such an amazing singer.
Thank you. So now, guys, it's time for my favorite part of the show. It's time for What's Your Fave? Okay, Danielle, what is your favorite season?
Oh, I think my favorite season would have to be spring, especially spring in Portland. We got the Portlandscape behind me just because everything starts blooming and the beautiful colors. And I love 70-degree days. I'm very sensitive to temperature. So it's like if I'm at 70 degrees, it's all good. So I'm going to go with spring.
Yay! But here in Orlando, it's the same every day. So.
I'm sorry.
All right.
What's your favorite season?
My favorite season is probably the fall. And I know it may be obvious, I don't know, but I love the fall because I love when I'm in an area that at least it has the colors. And when
you need to come by.
I know.
Get in your teleportation machine and
I'm
just
doing that. Like I'm working on my energy and I haven't yet figured out how to really visualize it.
When you're totally self-actualized, you'll be able to visit me that way.
Exactly. But fall is my favorite season.
That's a good one.
I loved it when I lived in Nashville and was able to see those colors change, and that's the good stuff. Okay, so I have two other questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, when you are 97 years old and you are sitting on the front porch of your home, what do you hope to look back at on your life at having achieved?
Oh, I think that, we were talking about those broad strokes and that vision and holding that vision. For me, it's about looking back and having no regrets and feeling like I really left a legacy of goodness and of people feeling like that they're better in the world for my presence being there, not the opposite way around, right? Like to really look back and feel proud and fulfilled and satisfied with no regrets.
I love that. And I have one last question for you. Are you ready? If there is one word that you could leave our audience with today, what would that one word be?
Integrated.
Ooh, yeah. And why?
Yeah, integrated, because I think that if you hold a vision for how you can be more integrated in your life, in your work, the more you will be able to impact other people while still being deeply fulfilled.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know I was going to say that, so.
I know.
Yeah.
You didn't know I was going to ask you. That's what's fun about this part of the show is it's my intuitive part of the show. That's
right. Intuitive speaking. That's what I love helping people do, is to be able to share and speak without always having the plan or knowing what's going to happen, because speaking is like that.
Exactly. Well, here's another part that you didn't know about yet, but there's a particular way that I sign off, and I would love if you would join me. But what we do is we throw our deuces up to fear, and
you got it, girl.
It's so me, right? You're totally not surprised.
No.
So we throw our deuces up to fear, and I say to you all, I got stuff to do, you got stuff to do, and it's time for you to go out there and give your dreams a kick in the pants.
Get it.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Danielle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. That's Rat Top Love Angel. You are, girl.